yeah, Malibu Dan, episode 5, Barb Wire. Ooh. Oh. This is arguably the craziest episode of the show we've seen, and maybe we'll ever see, to be honest. It's such a departure from what the rest of the series is. I'm actually kind of shocked that they made it, if I'm being totally honest. But
and long. The budget for this must have been crazy.
For
one episode of Malibu Dan.
It must have been at least, I don't know, $140 million. It couldn't have been that much. But what do you think the budget of this episode was?
I think I looked it up, and I think it was 15 million to 30 million estimated.
That sounds about right. Yeah, okay. I think the
big guns.
Big guns, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So I think the most shocking thing about this episode is that instead of opening in the Malibu Dan, or in the Wake Up Malibu studios, it opens with just like a text crawl, and I wrote down the entire text crawl here so I could read it off. So if you'll indulge me, I'd like to read the introduction to this episode.
Get it, Queen.
Steel Harbour, 2017, the Second Civil War. The old democracy is overthrown by a tyrannical new group called the Congressional Directorate. Every city in the nation is under martial law except one, Steel Harbour, the last free city. A secluded island of shrinking independence, it is a place marked by chaos and crime, providing a home for a new kind of mercenary. Wild.
Yeah, like it doesn't even take place in Malibu.
Yeah, I know. It takes place in Steel Harbour during the Second Civil War, but this episode was filmed in 2017 probably, so that still tracks.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. Why would you record this any earlier?
Well, exactly. This is a documentary show. Everybody knows Malibu Down the Family Man is a documentary, and in 2017, democracy was overthrown by a tyrannical new group called the Congressional Directorate.
Yeah, the Dick Directorate.
Exactly.
Is Steel Harbour a real city in these American states?
It 100% is not. It's Steel Harbour? No, that's a silly name for a place.
The whole episode is filmed on the harbor, it feels.
Yeah, it's filmed like in and around the warehouses. Like strictly. Like it's the whole thing is filmed in and around warehouses. There's no other sets. It's just you're in this warehouse, and then you're in this warehouse, and then you're in this warehouse. It's made up to look like the bar of the Hammerhead, and you're in this warehouse, which is Spike's hangout, and you're in this warehouse, which is where the cops are or whatever. All warehouses.
And even if you're 5 minutes away from the airport, you're still in the harbor. Harboring it up.
I have a lot of questions about that airport that we'll get to by the end of this episode.
Airport talk.
The logistics of that airport don't make any sense to me, but we got to get to the... So instead of the normal like bam, 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 instead of the normal Malibu Dan, yeah. Do you want to sing the whole thing?
Wake up
to a new day dawn, and a picture's worth 1,000,000 words in this town. You don't know it as well as I do. All right. Woo, the happening news today. So instead of the classic Malibu Dan theme song, we are treated to a terrible cover of Word Up by Cameo by some other band that's like probably Tommy Lee's current band at the time or something like that.
I thought there was something wrong with that song.
It's bad. It's a really bad cover. And then like instead of all the like clips from the show that we're used to seeing, instead of like, you know, Dan and Holiday in their snow gear and like, you know, Nicole falling off the couch and Dan and Arlen walking around that plant together, we're just like bombarded with images of Pamela Anderson in like a skin tight like leather jumpsuit with her yabos out getting sprayed by water, dancing on stage for these leering creeps who were just hooting at her. Very weird choice.
For half a second I thought it was Dan and Drag, but clearly it was Pamela Anderson.
Yeah, Pamela Anderson Lee, according to the credits.
Right. Yeah, she dropped off that name.
Because then she was Pamela Anderson Rock, and then now she's who knows what she is now.
So I got pretty hyped once I saw these because this brought back a lot of memories from my childhood, watching a lot of Baywatch as
Sure.
a young child do.
Mm-hmm. And it was so nice of them to bring in a guest star like this.
Yeah, it was very engaging. I was engaged until 2 minutes went by, and I was like, "Oh, this is still happening."
Yeah, and then like another 4 minutes went by, and you're like, "They're still doing it, huh?"
Oh.
Like they're just hosing her down with a fire hose while her yabos are out, and she's just dancing around. And sometimes she's on like a trapeze, and sometimes she's just kind of moving in the water. It's very weird.
Yeah, I don't know where the trapeze thing came from. They should have just had her moving in the water or on the trapeze for the whole time.
Either one would have been good, I think. Yeah.
Don't spend the extra money on the trapeze.
No, you don't need to. That's extra. Save the budget to get Tamura Morrison in this movie, or Udo Kier, or not movie, episode. In this episode, save the budget for Udo Kier and Tamura Morrison.
How do you feel about these yabos?
I mean, they were a formative part of my youth, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
They taught me a lot about myself.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. What did it teach you? To praise him?
To praise him, yeah. They were my house of worship for a period of time.
I like how you don't see the whole yabo.
You see a couple of shots of whole yabo.
I'd say 9% at most.
Sure, yeah, I'd agree to that. Yeah. But that water is ice cold, I'll tell you that much.
You don't think they warmed it up for her?
I mean, I think as a stylistic choice, they chose to keep it cold in order to maintain the kind of shots that they were trying to get of barbed wire dancing like that.
Well, you have to maintain nipple integrity.
Exactly. And here's the thing. I learned an interesting fact about this movie. Those aren't her real nipples, actually. They are pasties with pictures of nipples on them that they put over top of her actual nipples. So interesting.
Where would you get something like that?
I don't know. Hey, listeners, if you could tell us where you would get something like that, let us know. We want to get those. We want to invest in those. We can't find them on Etsy, so
you'd think it'd be a slam dunk,
right? It's crazy because this was like 1996.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, 2017. So that kind of technology was harder to find back then.
Like, even if you're not walking around shirtless, imagine how confident you would feel walking around with Michael Jordan's nipples on your nipples.
Or David Hasselhoff, according to your background.
Well, Hasselhoff, for sure.
Oh, yeah, I was Hasselhoff as a youngster a lot to those yabos.
Or, R.I.P. Ruth Bader Ginsburg's nipples?
Sure. Interesting choice, yeah. Okay, all right, yeah.
Well, you gotta go with the dead one.
Oh, well, you're saying a lot of things you're going to regret one day.
Yeah, maybe. Especially when we blow up.
Yeah. This scene goes on for a long time. This opening credits is like 5-6 times as long as the original opening credits. It's relentless. And to be fair, we watched the unrated version of this episode, so it's like there's probably less of this in the PureFlix cut of it. In the unrated cut, there's a lot more.
Yeah, once this airs on PureFlix, this is going to be like a 30-minute episode for sure. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe we saw too many scenes.
I mean, once this airs on PureFlix, they're going to cut barbed wire out of the movie or out of the episode completely and just focus on Tamura Morrison and his partner Cora D.
I would think it would be about Blind Charlie, and then all of a sudden he gets hanged and he's able to see again.
Ooh, Blind Charlie and Udo Kier. Curly.
But as long as we're talking about this intro, the intro is longer.
Mm-hmm. It is much longer. Yeah. What do you think of those yabos?
They were a huge part of my formative years.
Mm-hmm.
They really sexualized me into the man I am today. And I can't give enough thanks to them.
Thanks for praise.
but these are not the kind of yabos that I'm into nowadays. Having said that,
I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, your wife does look exactly like Pamela Anderson in this episode. Like dresses,
it's true.
Mostly dresses the same, I would say. Like she doesn't have blonde hair, but she dresses exactly the same.
Yeah, there's a lot of outfit changes in this movie, and my wife has all of them.
I feel like there's one outfit, and they just add and subtract. Like it's all the same kind of thing. It's like
it's true.
She's never wearing anything different than black spandex. Like it's just different cuts of spandex, essentially.
Like she takes the policeman up to her office, and changes for no reason, and changes into a suit that's like very similar to what she was just wearing.
At first,
it's just so you could see side boob.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that she had changed. Like obviously, I knew that like she got naked behind that screen and then came teased it a little bit, but then she came out and I went, "Did you just put your clothes back on?" Like what a weird. Oh no, that's a different outfit, kind of, I guess.
Maybe it is the same outfit, and it was just naked tease, same outfit.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
I love when the guy, while she's dancing in the intro, he says, "Come on, baby," all of it,
like 50 times. Yeah. Like that's the thing. That opening credit sequence is designed for 13-year-old boys to understand themselves a little better. But then the whole time there's just this gross man going, "Yeah, baby, take it all off." You're like, I don't like what this is doing to me. I don't like the links that's forming in my brain. I don't enjoy this.
Yeah, I should not have been able to watch this movie when I was a young child, but it was on Movie Central.
Oh, there you go.
Uncut.
Heck yeah, just like you.
That is the truth about me, but how dare you know that?
50-50 shot, so
not true.
Takes one to know one.
It's more
of
a 75-25.
That's fair. I will say though, so that sequence ends with the guy going, "Yeah, honey, take your yabos out. Come on, show me all of it." And then
"Hey, babe."
Yeah, "Hey, babe." And so she takes off her high heel and throws it at him and kills him. Like her high heel sticks in his forehead and kills him.
Yeah, she totally murders somebody, and they all love it. Nobody bats an eye.
No, they're like, "Hey, this girl's got some moxie. We like the chutzpah in this girl."
I couldn't say it better myself. It's definitely a moxie move.
Oh, yeah. I will say, though, this movie got off to a great start in that the first joke worked for me. The first joke in this movie made me laugh, and I went, this might be good. This might be a good episode of Malibu Down the Family Man. Like, maybe the funniest episode yet. So Barb Wire goes into the back to, like, get changed and everything, and there's two other dancers back there, and she goes, she says, "Hey," they're like, she's like, how's everybody doing tonight? And this like Asian woman who's a dancer turns and speaks French to her, and she goes, "Come again?" And the other dancer goes, "Oh, she's Chinese." And that legitimately made me laugh. I mean, that's a funny joke. That's a good joke movie. What can I say?
I missed that whole dialogue because I was laughing
Cleaning
about
up.
how she just murdered a person.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like she comes in and one of the girls is like, "How's the crowd, honey?"
Yeah.
And I'm just like, she murdered one of them.
Dead. Some of them are dead now. That's how the crowd is. But yeah, so what else happens in this episode? We find out that like Barb Wire is like an agent for hire. She like rescues a girl from a cold storage unit and then like takes her back to her parents, and her dad's like, "Oh, I only have half the money I promised you." And she goes, "Well, I'll kill your daughter then." And he goes, "All right, take my car as well. You can have my car and the money." And so she leaves them
she's
there.
gonna have this daughter.
Yeah. Yeah, and the daughter goes, "I don't know what that means. I'm not really into whatever you're talking about."
I like my legs.
Oh, maybe she meant like top to bottom, left and right.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
No,
that's gruesome.
That is. So yeah, we find out that in the universe of Malibu Down the Family Man in 2017, they're in the middle of a second civil war. It's the worst year of Barb Wire's life, she says. And I went, that's probably true. I don't know.
She basically just reiterates what we're already told at the very beginning of this movie, which is fine. You got to know these things.
Do you want me to read it again? The old democracy is overthrown by a tyrannical new group called the Congressional Directorate.
Is that Gary Heaven?
It is. Thank you. Yes. We are the new patriots. Now let's show them how to do it in Texas.
What if we could get Barbed Wire reimagined by Gary Heaven?
Well, we did. It's called America-geddon, and Gary Heaven plays Barbed Wire.
The Second American Civil War.
Now let's kick some ass.
Yeah, arse.
Arse, yeah, sorry. Oh, I was quoting a movie, so you can
Bible.
You can cuss when you quote something. It's fine.
Yeah. We already went into very significant detail about that.
Exactly, yeah. That's why you love doing the song Gold Digger at karaoke events.
Karaoke is the only thing I do, and Gold Digger is what I do.
So then so straight from Malibu we go to Steel Harbor. Then from Steel Harbor we go to Washington, where we're at the House of Representatives, and there's just like a bunch of Nazis torturing a naked woman in there. And I was like, Dan, you're saying a lot of big things in this episode, Dan. I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, there's a naked woman on a table, all borged up.
Yeah. Yeah, all borged up, borged up groin, borged up yabos, and a borged up half face.
And we're not talking about Ernest Borgnine.
No, star of Judah the Lion, or the Lion of Judah.
We're talking about, heathen Star Trek Borg.
That's right. We're talking about 6 of 9, baby.
Ooh, that's sexual.
Yeah, but isn't it funny? I mean, I don't know. This isn't a political podcast. This isn't a political podcast.
No.
Isn't
it funny?
It is kind of funny. It's kind of a sexual thing. So can we talk about how weird it is? We don't have to get into it because this isn't a political podcast, but it's worth pointing out that it's very weird that in this version of 2017, Nazis have taken over the White House. And then actually in like the last few years, Nazis tried to take over the White House. It's not a political podcast. We don't need to get into it, but that's an interesting little parallel that happened.
It's a creepy parallel, and I'm so glad that Malibu Dan addressed it.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that Barbed Wire existed in our real reality to stop the Nazis from taking over the White House. That was a really cool move of her.
Yeah, people didn't like Nazis for a long time, and then recently they started liking them again. And who knows what reality is going to bring next?
Like, it's the kind of thing. Is it the kind of thing where it's like, now like bell bottoms are back in? And like yo-yos are coming back.
Yeah, it's all cyclical, even genocide.
Exactly. It's round and round like a carousel. Go ahead. Didn't have anything.
Well, bell bottoms are gonna come back.
Yeah.
If Nazis came back, what was it, like 10 years later? Bell bottoms were in.
Something like that. Yeah. Well, I feel like by the time we hit like 2050, everyone's gonna be wearing like wide collars and bell bottoms and listening to Cameo again, and it's gonna be great.
Doing cocaine at discos.
That's right. Yeah. And maybe Nazis will be back then, too. I don't know. Who knows? We didn't get rid of them. They're still around, so maybe they'll come back, too. Who knows? I wouldn't like that, but that's the stance of the Pure Boys. We don't stand by Nazis. Even fake ones like the Congressionals.
Those dictatoriates. Right? I hate them.
Yeah. Hey, do you think you could sum up what the plot of this movie is in, like, 2 sentences?
Well, no.
What? What's the quickest you think you could sum up the plot? Like, what is this episode about? Could you sum it up in like a quick bite-sized chunk?
Yeah, I probably could, but my brain don't work so good. And it's a very simple plot. The commemorates.
Congressionals.
What they're Congressionals?
Yeah.
The commemorates.
The commemorates. The commemorative coins.
They obviously want to take over the world and America.
America, baby.
And then there's, the people that are against them, the revolutionists.
Yeah, the rebels, I think is all they're called.
And the rebels have this antidote for a huge biological weapon that they don't bring up very much.
Well, and by huge biological weapon, he means AIDS.
Isn't it always about AIDS?
Yeah, the big villain of this movie is AIDS. That's what we find out, or that this episode is AIDS. I keep mixing that. It's so, because this episode is so cinematic, I keep referring to it as a movie, but it is just an episode of Malibu Down the Family Man.
Yeah, it's an episode within a series of a very religious TV show.
That's right. A very religious TV show, except for this episode where they just go completely off the rails with it. And there's blind people drinking, and there's yabos, and there's Nazis. It's just, they throw everything at the wall and just go, let's see, maybe this will stick for the show. And then, I mean, we've watched ahead, so we find out that like things revert pretty much back to normal after this, which is, it's just weird that they would have this big of a, of a diversion.
Yeah, the next episode's going to have a lot of weird tension in it.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're waiting for Udo Kier to show up and talk to somebody and be like, I don't want to run this bar. I don't want to run the Hammerhead.
Yeah, she owns a bar.
Yeah, yeah. Barb Wire is the owner of a bar, the Hammerhead, the toughest bar in Steel Harbor. Yeah. And
she's doing well. She's apparently always scrambling for money, even though she got a suitcase full of it.
From Clint Howard.
Still can't pay her staff.
Oh, no, that night she goes
Clint
out.
Howard.
Yeah, she goes out and meets Clint Howard and gives him a guy who we find out is like an important guy he invented fake retinas, like retina contacts. That's this whole movie. The MacGuffin for this episode is fake retina contacts that change your retinas so that when the Congressionals do retinal scans on you, you are a different person. And that's all it is.
The huge technology in this whole movie is retinal scanning done by these like suitcase large machines.
And contact lenses. Like that's a big, but I guess, back in 1996, 2017, that would have been a big deal. Contact lenses were like futuristic.
Yeah, very big deal and hard to slip past.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Hard to tell that like someone's eyes are bright blue now.
They look so bad at the ending. Yeah. Oh my god.
She looks like Children of the Damned. Like she looks like she's got into the spice melange from Dune. Like she's got bright blue eyes. You a Dune fan?
I'm a Doom fan.
Well, we're talking Dune. We're talking Frank Herbert's. Hey, listeners, this week we're talking about Frank Herbert's sci-fi classic, Dune. Arguably the best sci-fi novel ever written. The spice melange.
The spice of life.
The Kizak's Haderach. Dune stuff.
I have read the first book, but I don't remember a thing about it other than melange.
You know what I'd recommend? Listening to the audiobook version of the first book, because there's a lot of nonsense words in that book that the audiobook clears right up for you.
Really?
Yeah, like Kizak's Haderach.
You know what I like?
Yeah.
I have this e-reader, and you could just like select a word, and it'll give you the definition right away.
That's awesome.
Very handy.
That's really handy. Yeah. What is the definition of? I don't know. I was trying to think of another Dune word, but I couldn't. So.
Well, I don't have my e-reader right now, so that would have been fricked up if you asked me. That would have been a real nail in my coffin.
Oh, here's the most defining trait of Malibu Dan, a.k.a. Barb Wire, in this episode. She hates being called babe. That's her, most clearly defined character trait in this whole episode, is just don't call me babe.
Yeah, it circles at the beginning, and then it comes in at the end for the biggest payoff ever.
I mean, the most shoehorned in use of the word babe. It's such a weird thing where so let's skip to the end because whatever. She's like helping. She doesn't want to help the rebels, and then the rebels want her to help them, and then Clint Howard has the retina contacts and he leaves them in her bar, and then the Nazis come and smash up her bar, and then she has to escape with the help of Tamura Morrison and his wife Cora D, who is the woman who has the cure for AIDS inside of her, and she's got to get on a plane to go to Canada, but she needs the fake contact lenses to put in her eyes because if she'll do a retinal scan at the airport and they'll find out that she's Cora D, the rebel that they're trying to catch, so she couldn't get on a plane to go to Quebec. And so all of that is true. All of that is what this episode's about.
Yeah. There's a weird spaghetti scene, but you don't need to know about that.
What? There is?
Where Charlie's eating all that spaghetti when the police come in.
Oh, yeah, when he's just eating it with his hands.
Yeah.
He's a monster.
Because he's blind. He
Exactly.
doesn't know how to use a fork.
Well, someone moved his fork and he couldn't find it again. And he's like, I guess I'm just eating with my hands. Everyone's always pranking me, the blind guy.
Yeah, they prank him a lot in this movie, and it's kind of uncouth.
Well, when he's sleeping, they draw like things on his face and stuff, and he never finds out. He just, through half the movie, he's got a big old dink just drawn on his face that they just pranked him with, and he never knows. And then he's crucified at the end. Hey, well, how was everyone's Easter? That's coming up. Charlie gets crucified in this episode. It's a great one, crazy episode.
Yeah, April 1st.
Did you like the cameo of Farty Marty at the end as Big Fatso?
Yeah, he didn't have his chain, which I was very confused about.
Yeah, but he did have his signature front loader that he was just laying in.
Yeah, I looked up what that tractor is called, and I had to know it was a front loader.
Yeah. He travels around. He's the head of the, I don't know. He's the king of the underworld.
Farty Marty gang.
The Farty Marty, the king of the underworld, is what he's known as.
Yeah, he's in a wreck yard, salvage yard. It's also on the dock.
Yeah, it's all on the dock. Like, hey, careful when you go to the unoccupied zone. That's on the dock too. I mean, whatever. Some stuff happens. There's double crosses. Barb Wire looks like an idiot for like a good chunk of the finale in this episode.
But she looks like an idiot until she has a grenade in her hand.
But like, she's so lucky that cop decided to give her a grenade, because if he didn't, then they all would have been arrested and put to death by the Congressionals. Like, she blew it hardcore.
She was given that grenade by the cop.
Yeah, he gave her the grenade. That's why she smiles after he puts it in her hand.
So she literally had no plan other than to just bung it up.
Yeah. And like, she had the contacts in her eyes the whole time. I don't understand. I don't understand what her plan was. They go, Big Fatso Farty Marty is going to help them get across the unoccupied zone so they can get to the airport, which is on the other side of the unoccupied zone. And so they go, and she's like, I want $750,000 in cash, and I'll give you the contact lenses. And he goes, here's a debit card with $750,000 on it. And she goes, good enough, I guess. And then he goes,
Weird promotional moment by Visa.
Yeah, bizarre. For a Visa debit card from TD Bank.
How much money do you think they paid to have their Visa card in Barb Wire?
Was that actually a Visa? I didn't really get a good look at it.
I think so. It was like a gold Visa. They showed it prominently for like 5 seconds. It was like, yeah, this is a promotional moment.
I was too busy looking at those yabos. Hey, take it all off. Show us all of it.
Do you think it was Dan in drag?
Yeah, for sure it was.
The whole time?
Yeah, he looked really good in this episode. Like, the best he's ever looked. I will say, though, in that flashback to Seattle where they're trying to get on a helicopter, Dan looks pretty good there. I'm like, oh, you're like pretty hot, Dan. When you're not all done up.
Yeah, when you cover it up.
Yeah, when you don't have like a black line around your lips, you look pretty good.
Yeah, it's a weird mustache.
Yeah, it's a bizarre look. But, he's the star of the show, so it's got to look good. Got to wear makeup.
Yeah, he can do what he wants.
Exactly. So, the Fatso, Big Farty Marty, let's call him Big Farty Marty from now on.
Yeah.
Big Farty Marty betrays everyone. The Nazis and the cops show up. And then, like Jango Fett and his wife are just like, what are you going to do now, Barb Wire? And she goes, just get arrested, I guess. Yeah. Like, I don't have this was my plan. My plan was to betray you guys or something. I don't know what my plan was. What a
The
dum-dum.
Resistance really deserved to lose. They all die.
Yeah,
Barb
they all
Wire's
die.
their only hero, and she's not doing a good job.
Like, that's the thing. Once they all leave, like, this movie is depressing at the end because the Resistance is all killed. They're all murdered by the Congressionals. All the, like, like the leader of the Congressionals is killed, but there's still a bunch of them in Washington. Like they've killed maybe 6 of them, but there's a whole party of them. So the resistance is all dead. There's no resistance anymore. Steel Harbor will fall to the Congressionals. It is the last free city no longer. It is going to get taken over by the Congressionals, especially after they hear that their leader was murdered. Like all of their people were killed there. And then Barb Wire just goes, hey, I got this $750,000 visa. I'm getting a flight to Paris. And she just flies to Paris, I guess, at the end.
Yeah, apparently everything's fine in Europe. Nothing has leaked over there whatsoever.
And Canada.
And yeah, Canada's great. Their money, they deal in Canadian money because it's the only thing worth anything.
Well, Barb Wire insists on being paid in Canadian money, not that crappy American money she turns her nose up at.
Yeah, it really shows how far the American flag has fallen.
Well, exactly. God, we're at 30 minutes already. So
we are.
Yeah, we are.
Barb gets forklifted.
Yeah, she gets forklifted. And then the Nazi is like, "This is like my favorite song. I got you, babe." And she goes, "Don't call me babe." And I went, well, he didn't really. Like, he just said the word babe. It's not.
Yeah, he's quoting something.
Exactly.
According to our rules, that is harmless.
Exactly. He said, "Let's watch my favorite movie, Babe." And she was like, "Don't call me babe." And then he falls to his death afterwards.
Yeah, Django Fett has him by a crane, and Barb releases the crane, and then it drops, and then blows up.
Yeah, even though it's a forklift. He explodes, and that kills him somehow.
And he's probably alive. Nazis can endure fire.
That's true, yeah. Real quick, how do you think this airport works? Because, like, it's on the other side of the
unoccupied. That's all I've wanted to talk about.
It's on the other side of the unoccupied zone, and it's like it's a death trap trying to get there. But then it's just like rich people in fur coats and stuff. And it's like, how do you get to or from this airport? And like the airport seems to be run by the Congressionals. So like
I think it's the UN.
Oh, it is for the UN. You're right. But like,
yeah.
How do people get out of the airport then? How do people get away from there?
How are they choosing who goes and what does it cost? And
yeah.
Like, why aren't they just trying to get everybody out that can get out? Why do they have armed guards but just let Barb Wire walk in?
Yeah. Why does that cop just get to go like, hold that plane? And they go, okay.
To no one. There's no way the people at the airplane heard him.
Why is it an Air Canada jet? Why is the stewardess wearing a perfect, pristine Air Canada outfit? So many questions were raised at the end of this episode.
Yeah. Right, yeah, the Air Canada thing. Well, I guess the Canadians are the only ones that have planes anymore.
True. How gross is
it? Did the Congressionals just like take over this country but not have planes?
Yeah, like they're like, this is the last flight out. Like, oh, what do you mean? Out of where?
For why? Why can't you do another flight?
If this is the last flight out, nobody seems that concerned about getting it out of here. Like, people are just kind of milling about and hanging around.
Yeah, they're queuing up.
Yeah, it's like, why wouldn't people just be rushing to get on the plane if that's the last flight out of here?
The ending brings up so many questions, and we have none of them because they don't answer any.
They answer none of them. How gross was it when Barb Wire took the contacts out of her eyes and then gave them to Cora D and was like, "Put these in your eyes," and she was like, "I don't really want to."
Like Cora D doesn't even spit in them or anything.
Yeah, she goes, "Could you swish these around in your mouth or something first, or like I don't know."
And then Cora D puts them into her eyes, and they're just bright blue, and they don't look good on her whatsoever.
And they go, "That's fine. That's acceptable. We love your spice melange look."
But these retinal scanners work half the time anyways, so who cares?
Yeah, sometimes they just malfunction because a guy has a keychain or whatever.
Like that scene where they just try to walk out the front door, like go out the back or something.
Right. Away from go out the roof. She's got an exit out the roof. We see her take it earlier. She's got a sewer exit.
They just casually walk down and try to walk out, and yeah, like of course they're going to retinal scan you.
Yeah. You're like involved with with the rebels. And you have two strangers that you tell them, oh no, these are just two jerks off the street. I like to have menage a trois. And the Nazi goes, all right, that's acceptable. Sure. Yeah. Why not? This guy who clearly.
Get these guys out of here. They're wasting our time.
Yeah. Dumb. Malibu Dan, this is your weirdest episode yet. It's such a departure. I don't think you should revisit this universe. I don't think that this alternative reality to Malibu is I don't think it's got a lot of fruit on the trees. The Yabos were great, but other than that, it's fine.
Yeah. Keep sighted people employed, please.
True. Yes. Thanks for giving us Big Farty Marty. I love you.
I love you.
We love you.
We love you.
Malibu Dan. Malibu Dan.
I love it. Yabos.